He leaned back in that polished mahogany chair like the courtroom was built beneath his feet. Chin high. Thumbs hooked inside his tailored suit. A man who thought the world should thank him for showing up. "My money," he said, loud, mocking, like he was announcing something to a live audience. "Let me make this perfectly clear to the court. I will never touch her money again. I don't need a dime from that woman. Not now. Not ever." A smug ripple rolled through the room. He wanted applause, and Lord help me, he got it. Not from strangers. From his mother. Sitting behind him in a royal blue church hat like she was at Easter Sunday service instead of a divorce hearing. Evelyn Carter folded her arms, leaned forward, and smirked like Judgment Day had arrived and she was God himself. Then his mistress, the little masterpiece of sin sitting right beside him, slid her hand across his arm like she had claimed a throne. Scarlet lipstick. Black silk wrap dress. Legs crossed like the devil's own business deal. She looked at me. Not with fear. Not with guilt. With victory. That whispery, poisonous kind. She leaned close enough that I could see the shimmer of her highlight, then smiled. "That's right, honey," she purred. "We don't want her charity." Laughter. Not shocked laughter. Amused. Permissioned. Like I was the entertainment. The one humiliated. The one who lost. I heard two women whisper behind me, "Oh Lord, that poor wife," and yet not a soul dared to silence the disrespect. The court bailiff shifted but did nothing. My own lawyer looked rattled, ready to object, but waiting for the judge's nod. He didn't give it. The judge didn't move. He just watched. Calm. An old black man with silver at his temples. Sharp eyes. No wasted movements. He let the disrespect hang in the air like smoke. Then, without a word, he reached for the sealed envelope I'd handed him at the beginning of the hearing. The one I hadn't let anyone, not even my attorney, open before now. He broke the seal. Silence took a seat. He read the first line. And laughed. Not politely. Not a confused reaction. A deep, sudden, unfiltered laugh, the kind that stops hearts. Everyone froze. My husband's smile faltered. His mistress straightened. His mother looked offended, already preparing to take it personally. Then that judge put the letter down, folded his hands, and said with quiet, perfect authority, "Mr. Carter, I sincerely hope you enjoyed your last 15 minutes of confidence. Because they just expired. You could feel souls leave bodies." That was the moment. Right then, I realized they had no idea what was coming. But before I tell you how we really got here, and why a federal judge just laughed in open court, let me properly introduce myself. My name is Marilyn Carter. I am 56 years old. Born and raised on the south side of Atlanta, Georgia. And I am not, nor have I ever been, a weak woman. But I made one mistake. I trusted that loyalty was a language my husband still spoke. And that mistake cost me 23 years of my life. So no, this is not a sob story. This is my reckoning. If you are listening right now, don't go anywhere. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share this with another woman who once swallowed her pain in silence. And tell me in the comments, do you believe karma waits? Or do you believe it hunts? Because what happened next wasn't survival. It was surgical justice. I met David Carter when I was 29 and still believed you could love a man into goodness. He was smooth then, charismatic, that Atlanta kind of southern handsome. Bowed his head when he spoke to elders. Knew how to pray loud in church but low at home. The kind of man who made you feel chosen. His mother, Evelyn, adored me, or so I thought. She called me daughter from the very first Christmas. Fixed my hair in her kitchen like I belonged to her. I believed her love was real. The first betrayal was silent. And small. So small I ignored it. That is how women end up in courtrooms like this one. Tired, embarrassed, trying to figure out when the man they loved pulled the wool over their eyes. But there is always a moment, a single defining moment, when love ends. Mine came 3 summers ago. A night so hot the streetlights themselves looked like they were sweating. I walked into my own home and found, no, not yet. Because that's the thing about truth. You don't start at the explosion. You follow the fuse. And my fuse began long before his mistress ever put her lips on him. It began the day his mother, the woman in that courtroom seat, looked me dead in the eyes. And told me the kind of lie that doesn't break you instantly. It rots you slow. And she did it. Smiling. That's where you need to understand me before you judge me. I was a faithful wife. A praying wife. A wife who forgave quietly. Until the day I realized. I was married to a liar. And kin to a snake. But by then, it was too late to walk away clean. Because they had already touched the one thing you never touch. Family. And now I am here. In this courtroom. Breathing steady. Watching 3 people laugh at my funeral, not knowing it is their own verdict being read. And the judge has only spoken his first warning. The letter has only been opened. You want to know what was inside it? I'll tell you. But understand this first. Everything they thought they controlled in this courtroom, I built that trap myself. And dawn has just begun. The courtroom fell into a silence so thick it felt alive, breathing, pressing, watching. My hands were still trembling from the moment the judge leaned forward with that slow, deliberate exhale, the kind that lets you know the damage is already done before the words even arrive. I could hear nothing except the soft, metallic ringing in my ears. Not the shuffle of paperwork. Not the murmurs from the backbenches. Not even my own heartbeat. And then, it happened. A soft, satisfied scoff. Not from my husband. Not from the mistress. From his mother. Barely audible, but sharp. Arrogant. Like she had just watched a chess move checkmate itself. Her chin tilted up, slow and regal, like she'd been waiting for this fall for years. Like she never doubted it was coming. Like she built the cliff just to push me. I didn't even turn my head, my eyes moved on their own, finding her through nothing but instinct and hurt. Her lips were pressed into the faintest little smile. Smiling. While my life was being executed. My throat tightened. But I said nothing. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. Not yet. The judge resumed speaking, something about legal terms and irreversible decisions. But my soul had already left his voice behind. Because I was suddenly afraid. Not of divorce. Not of betrayal. But of what else they'd planned, behind doors I never even knew existed. And that's when, for just a split second, he looked at me. My husband. The man I gave 20 years to. The man who once swore he wouldn't survive if anything ever hurt me. He looked. But he didn't blink either. He wasn't broken. He wasn't conflicted. He wasn't even relieved. He just looked, finished. Like this was a chapter he closed before he even walked in. Something inside me, something buried too deep to even have a name, snapped. I didn't stand. I didn't scream. I didn't interrupt the judge. But I stared back. Not broken. Not pleading. But clear. Cold. Unforgiving. That's when it happened for the first time, the moment nobody else noticed. The mistress flinched. Not physically. Not enough for anyone but me to see. But her eyes widened. Just a fraction. As if for the first time, she realized I wasn't dying. The judge called for signatures. My fingers felt disconnected from my arms as I reached for the pen. 1,000 whispers seemed to scream inside my skull. Don't sign it. Flip the table. Publicly destroy him. Burn it all. But I didn't move a muscle. I just looked straight ahead as my husband stepped forward instead, grabbing the pen before me, like he was eager to finish it. Eager. He didn't even wait for me. That was the moment the world lost gravity. Because in 20 years of marriage, I had never seen him disrespect me like that in public. He signed. Not a tremor. No hesitation. No grief. Just his usual calm, the same delicate, patient calm he used when he lied. When he planned. When he made sure the image looked perfect. Then he set the pen down, slowly, and exhaled with relief. And I knew. He has already moved on. The mistress's gaze melted with triumph. His mother's fingers laced proudly over her designer purse. And I felt nothing. No collapse. No drowning. Just a terrifying clarity. The judge raised his head. Mrs. Carter. That was still my name. For about 9 more seconds. But as I reached for that pen, knowing the second I touched it, my entire identity would be erased in front of God and America. Someone moved. Not him. Not her. My 12-year-old daughter. Her chair scraped the marble floor so loudly, it echoed like thunder. Every soul in that courtroom snapped toward her at once. She didn't cry. She did not scream. She did not break. She stood. And faced her father. With open defiance. Like she had just stepped between a lion and its prey, unarmed but unafraid. Don't. One word. But spoken like a verdict. The air turned dangerous. Unpredictable. As if the whole room flinched. His mother's jaw locked. The mistress's smile died. My husband froze, pen still on the table. I turned slowly, as if afraid looking at her would make her vanish. She never looked at me. Her eyes stayed on him. You promised us you'd never become like her. She didn't point, but we all knew exactly who she meant. His mother's face flashed with fury. For the first time, she lost the mask. My husband tried to compose himself. Sweetheart. But she cut through him. Like a knife to silk. You told me you hated the way she treated my mom. Pin drop silence. A slow tick of someone's gold watch. Even the judge leaned forward. Not legally. Humanly. My daughter took a single step closer. Not shaking. Not timid. A quiet storm gathering force. And you're becoming worse. His mother sucked in an audible breath, outrage swallowing any restraint. I saw her hand rise, instinctive, reaching to grab my daughter's wrist like she did when she punished grandchildren in private. But my daughter slapped her hand away midair. Gasps. Actual gasps. She didn't even look at her. Only back to her father. And for the first time that day. He blinked. Shock. Real shock. Like he didn't expect God himself to send the rebuke through his own child's mouth. And that was when I finally understood. This battle was never mine alone. It never had been. I wasn't losing a marriage. I was exposing a kingdom. One that thought it could wipe me out quietly. Not anymore. My daughter turned, finally, and looked at me. Just one look. Steady. Unshaken. And in that moment I knew, I was not alone. The judge's gavel didn't fall, not yet. But the silence that followed my daughter's words was louder than any courtroom outburst could ever be. Her voice still lingered in the air, trembling with truth and fire, and not a single soul dared to breathe wrong. My husband, Marcus, sat frozen beside his smug little mistress, and for the very first time since this divorce circus began, his mask cracked. He didn't look angry. He looked afraid. Not of me, but of what she might say next. The mother-in-law, Evelyn, forced a shaky grin, the kind she'd used all her life when she wanted to keep control of a room. But even her eyes flicked nervously toward the judge, like she was suddenly calculating the possibility of losing everything disguised as a sure win. Her fingers tightened around her purse, the same purse she's carried as a symbol of I run this family. But today, it didn't look like armor. It looked like a shield. And she was hiding behind it. Across the room, the mistress, Vanessa, couldn't even hold her head up. Her flirtatious confidence evaporated like smoke. Her hands were trembling beneath the table. This wasn't the courtroom performance she expected. She thought today would be my funeral. But my daughter just reminded them, God don't play about the women he anoints. The judge, a gray-haired black man with the stillness of a surgeon, slowly leaned forward. His fingers interlocked. Softly. Controlled. And when he finally spoke, he didn't look at me. He looked at them. Mr. Williams, he said, voice cutting through the air like a clean blade, is there anything at all, you would like to say before I proceed? Marcus didn't speak. My heart didn't race. It slowed. Something inside me whispered, this is the moment everything begins to flip. Marcus cleared his throat. But nothing came out. The judge's eyes narrowed. Because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, It appears your daughter is not just contradicting your testimony, she's prepared to dismantle it entirely. A gasp rippled through the room. Even the court stenographer paused. Vanessa reached for Marcus's hand, he aggressively pulled it away. Evelyn began to stand. The judge didn't raise his gaze, but the way his voice dropped sent her back into her seat like she'd been physically pulled. Sit down. You could hear her breathing. You could hear everyone breathing. And then, the judge turned his eyes to my daughter. What is your name, young lady? Her voice didn't waver. Aaliyah Williams, sir. I'm 19. And I did not come here today to beg anybody to believe my mother, I came to make sure nobody lies on her again. The courtroom erupted inside their minds, nobody said a word, but you could feel it. That woman raised her right, the judge's face said. That girl was raised with evidence, mine said. Aaliyah continued, she wasn't done. Because this man, she gestured at Marcus, this father, wasn't just cheating on my mother. He was trying to financially erase her. Using fake LLCs under his mama's name. Loans she didn't sign. Insurance she didn't know about. And they thought I wouldn't find it. Vanessa gasped. Marcus snapped his head toward her, pure panic. The judge didn't react. He folded his hands again, colder this time. My breath caught. Because that wasn't in the documents I gave Aaliyah. She'd found something I didn't even know existed. Marcus lunged forward. Finally, that's. The judge's eyes cut to him like iron. Sit down, Mr. Williams. He froze. The room shifted. You could feel every pair of eyes pivot from predator to prey. The judge turned back to my daughter. Continue. Aaliyah didn't blink. Do I have permission to submit Exhibit 19B, the email threads between Marcus Williams and the underwriter instructing them to list Evelyn W. as primary owner of my mother's retirement policy? Evelyn visibly jolted. The room caught fire without moving. Marcus didn't breathe. Vanessa's eyes watered. The judge's tone changed, almost like relief. Submit it. Aaliyah stepped forward. No fear. No hesitation. I realized, this chapter of my life was no longer about survival. It was the beginning of their exposure. And Aaliyah, my quiet, observant, too wise for the world baby, had just officially declared war. And the judge? He hadn't even reached for his gavel yet. He was enjoying this. The judge didn't even glance at the paper yet, but Evelyn's face turned the color of wet ash. She wasn't expecting her name to show up this early. She wasn't expecting Aaliyah. Nobody was. This courtroom was supposed to be a quiet execution, not a full-scale resurrection. But God doesn't warn the wicked before he flips the script. And he flipped it right here. Aaliyah walked toward the court clerk with the documents, confident as daylight. She didn't tremble. Didn't rush. Didn't look for permission from anybody, not even me. She was no longer the child in this story. She had already declared herself a witness, and the judge had accepted her authority. That's when Marcus finally broke. Your Honor, this is absurd, she's just a. Be very careful, Mr. Williams. The judge didn't raise his tone. He didn't have to. Right now, she's the only one speaking under truth, unscripted, and unprompted, and she has not contradicted a single legal record so far. You have. Repeatedly. The courtroom shifted. This was no longer my trial. It was their exposure. And that terrified every one of them. Evelyn was shaking now. Hands clenched, jaw locked. She wasn't furious. She was calculating. This wasn't outrage. This was self-preservation. Vanessa leaned toward Marcus, whispering, frantic. I didn't need to hear a word to know what she said. Kill this. Now. Shut it down. Now. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could stop what came next. Because the judge looked directly at Aaliyah. Go on. And Aaliyah did. Exhibit 19B, Your Honor, confirms that my grandmother, Mrs. Evelyn Williams, filed 2 separate life insurance beneficiary changes on my mother's retirement account without her consent. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The judge leaned forward. Without her consent. Aaliyah nodded. Yes, sir. Which is why my father didn't want this trial. He wanted a settlement behind closed doors. Because this isn't about a mistress, or a divorce, or adultery. This is about theft. Premeditated financial theft. They were preparing to wipe my mother off the map. Silence. It wasn't just quiet, it was sacred stillness. The kind of moment where God himself enters the room and every lie begins to melt. Marcus's entire posture collapsed. Evelyn gripped her chair like she needed it to keep breathing. Vanessa turned paper white, tears slipping before she could stop them. But Aaliyah wasn't done. She turned her head to face them, not like a child, but like a prosecutor before execution. I was going to keep silent. If they had walked away, I would have let them walk. But the day I heard them laughing about how black women are gullible and emotional and stupid enough to be erased if you make her think she's crazy, her voice tightened, not with weakness, with power. I decided I wasn't letting them walk away from nothing. Nobody moved. The judge nodded slowly. And then, something nobody saw coming. He looked at Evelyn. Mrs. Williams. Would you like to respond? Notice, he didn't say, do you have a response? He said, would you like to? A lawyer knows the difference. One is an invitation. One is a test. Evelyn opened her mouth. Nothing came out. The judge leaned back. I thought so. He turned. Looked dead at me. Would you be willing to let your daughter continue speaking on your behalf? I didn't get to speak. Because the entire courtroom saw it first. Marcus shot up from his chair. Absolutely not. She's Manipoo. Sit down. That gavel didn't even touch the wood. But its spirit did. Marcus Saturday. It wasn't obedience. It was reflex. He knew, before any of us, that the judge had switched from spectator to executioner. Aaliyah didn't blink. She lifted her chin. And with the calm of a woman older than this world, she said the words that would detonate everything. Then may I submit Exhibit 22, audio evidence. The night they believed my mother was asleep. When they discussed, not the affair, but what they planned to do with her body after they erased her name from every document she owns. And that's when gasps turned into horror. Not betrayal anymore. Conspiracy. Premeditation. And for the first time ever, Evelyn stopped protecting Marcus. Her head snapped toward him. Eyes full of hatred. You recorded me. And just like that, the devil turned on her own son. The courtroom broke before the sound even played. Evelyn's voice sliced through the courtroom before the audio could even be played. You recorded me, she hissed, not at me, not at Aaliyah. At Marcus. Her own son. And that's when it happened. For the first time in my life, that woman didn't look like a serpent watching her prey. She looked like prey herself. Marcus's mouth opened, but his brain was scrambling. You could see him trying to choose who to protect, himself, or his mother. He chose wrong. Ma, I didn't, you know Aaliyah's lying. Too late. Evelyn was already betrayed. You could feel it. Whatever unholy alliance they had was dead in real time. Vanessa grabbed Marcus's arm under the table. A silent command, fix this. But this wasn't fixable anymore. Because this wasn't just adultery. Or humiliation. Or even theft. This was a federal crime. On record. Inside a courtroom. The judge didn't blink. Play the audio. Aaliyah nodded to the clerk. A single click. Static. Then, Evelyn's voice. Clear. Cold. Unforgivable. Once we clean everything under his name, you sign the last paper. We time it right, pension clears, policy pays out, and by the time anyone notices she's missing, we're already in Atlanta handling the transfer. Vanessa's voice followed, softer. Chilling. Do we cremate, or? Marcus. My husband. The man I fed. Loved. Chose. No mess. No trace. You don't leave a body when you erase someone from paperwork. This is business. Not emotion. The audio stopped. But the room did not breathe. The clerk's hand hovered over the button, but the judge held up a hand. Don't touch it. He turned his head. Slowly. Precisely. Like a man giving God time to witness the wicked before he passed sentence. I did not cry. I did not tremble. I simply exhaled. Quiet. Steady. Not relief. Revelation. Because it hit me all at once. This isn't the day they tried to destroy me. This is the day they confessed it. Themselves. On record. In front of God and state. And they didn't even realize it yet. Mr. Williams. The judge finally spoke. Marcus swallowed. His fingers shook so hard, he had to grip the edge of the table. The judge's expression never broke. You had the right to remain silent before this trial began. Marcus froze. Every lawyer in that room went still. Not the right to speak. The right to remain silent. Which meant this was no longer divorce court. It was now adjacent to criminal court. Do you wish to proceed representing yourself, the judge said icily, or do you require immediate criminal counsel? Vanessa gasped. Marcus's pupils dilated. He looked at his mother. Not for help. For permission. But her eyes weren't on him anymore. She was staring at me. And for the first time, in nearly 30 years, that woman wasn't looking like a queen on her throne. She looked like a woman abandoned by the devil she served. She looked afraid of me. Marcus tried to stand. Alia didn't move. She just said, calm, soft, surgical. Exhibit 22A is the rest. The rest. Which meant there was more. The judge nodded. Play it. The clerk pressed the button. And this time, it was worse. Vanessa's voice, whispering. How long we gotta pretend before we can move? Marcus, impatient, bored. She'll be gone before the year ends. Evelyn just waiting for her to get weak enough. Evelyn, laughing. Black women always die from stress. You just gotta keep her drowning. They always break. Don't waste a bullet. The sound cut. No one moved. Not even the janitor. Because that wasn't just evil. That was a blueprint. A strategy. A doctrine. The kind of thinking that sends people to hell while they're still breathing. The judge stood. Stood. Courtrooms freeze when a judge rises. It's instinct. All three of you, he said quietly, unbearably quiet, stand up. Marcus obeyed first, out of habit. Vanessa stood, trembling. Evelyn rose slower, like a queen forced to kneel for the first time. The judge nodded once. His voice sharpened into a blade. Bailiff. Separate them. The room exploded with gasps. Marcus panicked. Wait, wait. Vanessa cried out. Evelyn's voice fell apart. Judge, please. But the bailiff was already moving. One to the left. One to the right. One straight out the center aisle. They weren't family anymore. They were suspects. And the judge wasn't done. He looked at Alia. And you, young lady, do not move. Then. He turned, and looked at me. Not as a judge. As a man. As a witness. As a black elder who has seen this country do worse to our women, but has never seen one rise quite like this. He nodded. Once. With absolute respect. Then, to the court. Before this proceeds into criminal jurisdiction, this court will hear one more revelation from the plaintiff. And that, I realized with bone-deep certainty, was my invitation to end this. Not run. Not survive. End. This. Forever. Marcus didn't move at first. He just stood there in the middle of that silent living room, breathing like he was afraid of waking up a ghost. Tiana watched him from across the room, but she didn't blink. She didn't flinch. That new version of her, the quiet, terrifying version, was still sitting upright on that couch like a woman who had already made peace with war. The kind of woman who don't threaten. She just knows what she's willing to do. The kind of woman nobody, not even the devil, plays with twice. Marcus swallowed hard. His throat moved slow. Like it hurt. He didn't call her baby. Or tea. Or honey. He didn't say a single soft word. Because he knew it wouldn't land. He knew softness wouldn't save him now. So instead, he did something she didn't expect. He slowly, carefully, sat on the floor. Not the couch. Not a chair. The damn floor. Right in front of her. Like somebody approaching a wounded lion and trying not to get ripped apart for breathing too loud. Tiana, his voice was low. Flat. No excuses in it. Not yet. I need you to hear something without you thinking I'm trying to defend myself. No reaction from her. Not even the flicker of an eyelash. Marcus inhaled, long and slow. I ain't touched that woman. I ain't slept with that woman. I ain't met that woman in person, not once. I swear to God. His voice didn't shake, but it didn't sound confident either. It sounded like a man stating facts he knew still wouldn't change the damage. Tiana didn't move. Didn't respond. Didn't even blink. So Marcus kept going, because silence from Tiana was always worse than yelling. I ain't gonna lie and say I wasn't wrong. I know I was. I know I played with fire. I disrespected you. I made you feel small. I let someone outside this house feed my ego when I was supposed to be pouring back into you. My wife. His voice cracked. Finally. Just once. Tiana didn't look away. But her chest moved. The smallest breath. The kind nobody else would have noticed. Marcus leaned forward, still on the damn floor, and put his elbows on his knees, like a man fully stripped of pride. I deserve everything you said tonight. I deserve the way you look at me. I deserve worse than that. He exhaled. Hard. But Tiana, I swear on my mama's grave, I never physically cheated. I didn't go out there and destroy our vows with my body. That one sentence, that one, made Tiana blink. Once. Slow. And Marcus caught it. And whispered, like he knew even breathing too loud could ruin this. But I did destroy him with my ego. Silence thickened around that confession like it had weight. Marcus didn't cry. He didn't beg. He owned it. 4 months, I got addicted to feeling admired. Respected. Adored. Not because I don't love you, but because I didn't love myself. And the more you fought me, the more I fed myself somewhere else instead of turning around and doing the damn work. That sentence lit a fuse behind Tiana's eyes. Marcus noticed. But he didn't flinch. I didn't choose her, Tiana. I chose feeling powerful. And I hate myself for that. A long, raw moment passed. Tiana's fingers curled slowly against her thigh. Not from sadness. From an anger so surgical, it cut without heat. Her voice came, calm. Almost gentle. You don't get points for not cheating, Marcus. He nodded. No defense. I know. You still abandoned me while sleeping right next to me. His eyes closed. Flash of guilt. I know. You still let another woman have access to a version of you I was begging to see. His lips parted like that one physically wounded him. Still. I know. Tiana leaned forward slightly, not emotional. Not broken. Dead. Focused. Marcus. Do you even understand what you killed inside me? That question made his shoulders actually slump, like something knocked the air from him. He didn't blink. Didn't look away. Didn't lie. Yeah. One word. Raw. Tiana studied him. Eyes sharp. Judging every breath he took. He didn't defend. Didn't soften. Didn't perform remorse. He just sat there looking like a man who finally ran out of lies he told himself. And then, something shifted. Not in him. In her. A subtle, unnerving pivot of energy. So then, she said slowly, let me ask you something harder. Marcus braced. Tiana didn't blink. If I was the one you found those messages from? If I was the one taking them to work? Smilin at my screen. Texting in bed right next to you. She gave him a full beat to feel it. Would you still be sitting on that floor this calm? Silence. Marcus had no script. He didn't speak for a moment. Then the truth. No. Tiana nodded once. Painfully slow. And that's why you scare me. Those words devastated him. Not anger. Not hate. Fear. At him. Marcus's face finally cracked. Tiana stared straight through him now. I don't trust men who only develop empathy after they're caught. He looked like he'd just been nailed to the truth. She continued, steady, deliberate. So now the only thing left is one question. Marcus swallowed. Waiting. Ready to bleed for whatever came next. Tiana leaned in. Are you sorry you hurt me, or just sorry you lost your power? I could hear the wind banging against the courthouse glass outside like it was trying to warn me that something was coming. Something I wouldn't be able to stop once it started. Clarissa had just left that voicemail on my phone, her voice cracking while she whispered something I couldn't get out of my head. You need to know what really happened the night your life got ruined. You were never crazy. She said she was sending me proof. And then the line cut. No goodbye. No time. No explanation. Just like that, the same woman who once sat at my dinner table pretending to be my friend, the same woman who later testified right alongside my husband like I was diseased, was now reaching out to help me? No, not help. Confess. But the way she said it, it wasn't guilt. It was fear. Something had happened. Something worse than betrayal. Betrayal is intentional. Fear comes from consequence. And maybe that's why I didn't move. Didn't take my eyes off that faint courthouse hallway reflection in the window. Because deeply, I knew whoever made Clarissa afraid, it wasn't me. It was something bigger. I sat there silent, pretending to scroll through my phone, but replaying her words like a looped audio still loading in my head. You were never crazy. You were never crazy. You were never crazy. I inhaled like I was preparing for war. Because in that moment, for the first time, I accepted that everything I convinced myself to ignore, every instinct I buried to keep my home peaceful, every time I thought maybe I'm just being dramatic, I was right. And every single one of them knew it. Across the waiting area, I could see my husband whispering something to his mother, her expression tight as a Bible belt church hat. His mistress, Monique, casually filing her nail as if this was spa day instead of federal judgment hour. They were so damn relaxed. Why wouldn't they be? They thought today was their victory parade. The final erasure of the woman they'd tried to paint unstable. The day a judge would bless their wicked little alliance with the ultimate stamp. I was wrong. They were right. But then, a sudden shift. Daryl glanced up, caught my eyes, and froze. I didn't smirk. I didn't cry. Didn't mouth a word. I just looked at him. And this time, I didn't blink first. That's when I saw it. Buried deep behind all that arrogance. Panic. The kind of panic only a guilty man gets, when he realizes peace has left the woman he broke, and she has nothing left to lose. A voice broke the stillness. I turned. A young clerk I hadn't seen before. She whispered low. There's something your legal counsel requested that arrived just now. They said it was urgent. Would you like it before the judge calls you in? Legal counsel? I didn't have legal counsel. My eyebrows didn't move, but my heartbeat did. Hard enough to hear behind my ears. Yes, I said calmly. She looked relieved, like she was expecting me to panic or ask questions. She didn't know. Panic left my body 5 minutes ago. She handed me a sealed envelope. No label. Just my name. I watched her walk away before opening it. Inside, a flash drive. Just that. Nothing else. Not from a lawyer. Not Clarissa. Not court provided. It was personal. I closed my fingers around it slow, like I was holding a trigger no one else could see. From the corner, I could feel eyes on me. I didn't have to look to know whose. Monique, the mistress. Her smirk was gone. Good. I stood up, quiet. Purposeful. Not toward her. But toward the hallway leading to the witness preparation room. The one place I could access a laptop before walking into that courtroom. The door clicked behind me. I slid the flash drive in the court computer like my hands weren't shaking, even though for the first time, they were. A single file opened. No password. Just a black screen that read, "You were right to run the night he chased you." My breath left my body. It continued loading. Then video. Taken from inside my own home. A hidden angle, pointing at my living room. A night I recognized instantly. The night my husband chased me with a wine glass. The night his mother lied to police, saying I was hysterical and violent. Except this showed everything. Him drunk. Her laughing. And Monique, already there in my home. Then worse, them discussing me, like property. Like strategy. Like I was a pawn and they were running financial plays using my name, my assets, my records. It wasn't betrayal. It wasn't even infidelity. It was premeditated asset hijacking. They'd been planning it for years. And on that night, the night I thought was spontaneous violence. No. It was staged. Engineered to get me institutionalized or arrested. My vision blurred, but I didn't blink. Because at the end of the video, there was Clarissa. Shaky hands. Shaky voice. Secretly recording while pretending to help. Whispering to the camera. Forgive me. I didn't know it would go this far. But if you see this, I need you to understand, it wasn't just an affair. They planned to erase you. My hands went cold. I closed the laptop. Slow. No tears. In that eerie stillness, I looked in the mirror. And finally, I saw her again. The woman before survival instinct turned her into shadow. Quiet vengeance. Not rage. Calculation. The door opened. They're calling your name. Court is in session. I nodded. Exhaled once. And walked, not to defend myself, but to finish them. The courtroom doors swung open like judgment itself was breathing in the room. Every sound felt amplified, the soft shuffle of polished shoes, the rustling papers, even the stale perfume of lies that had lived in this space too long. Daryl didn't look at me when I walked in. Neither did his mother. But Monique, she did. And the moment her eyes landed on me, I saw it. She knew. She didn't know what I had. But she could feel it, the shift in power. Predators don't fear weakness. They fear awakening. I walked past them calm. No tears. No rush. No performance. Just a stillness so unnerving, Daryl finally turned his head. Not to smirk. Not to mock. But to measure me. To check if I still looked breakable. The answer was no. All rise, the bailiff called. We stood. The judge entered, Judge Morrison, a stern, near-retired black woman known in Detroit for giving the kind of rulings people still whispered about decades later. The kind who didn't just issue verdicts, she issued legacy. Her eyes didn't scan the room like most judges. She looked directly where she intended, one face at a time. Reading. Measuring. Dissecting. Her attention reached Daryl first. Then, me. Her expression shifted, barely, but I saw it. Recognition. Of something different in my eyes. She Saturday. We followed. My husband's lawyer was first, a slippery, well-groomed liar named Randall Pierce who specialized in rewriting reality at $850 an hour. Your Honor, we are here today to finalize corrective financial allocations following the respondent's long-standing pattern of mental instability. Mr. Pierce, Judge Morrison cut in without blinking. Before you say another word, let me be perfectly clear. The room stilled. I do not entertain narratives built on spectacle or rehearsed victimhood. If you proceed with anything but evidence, you will regret the tone you just attempted to set. Do you understand me? The silence was nuclear. Randall adjusted his tie. Of course, Your Honor. Daryl shifted uncomfortably. His mother shot their lawyer a look like get it together. Monique's leg was bouncing so hard beneath the table she had to grip it to keep still. I didn't speak. Not yet. I was not here to defend. I was here to bury. Mrs. Harmon, the judge turned to me at last. Do you have legal representation present today? The courtroom waited to hear my humiliation, that I came alone, unprotected, unprepared. I raised my chin. No, Your Honor, I answered, steady. I have truth. And evidence. Things more powerful than a legal team designed to destroy it. A ripple moved through the spectators' row like a haunting wind. The judge didn't move. She just said, proceed. Daryl's lawyer made a polite laugh. Your Honor, May it be stated for the record that the respondent has just admitted to representing herself while demonstrating possible delusional ideation. I didn't look at him. Instead, I pulled the flash drive from my pocket, placed it on the table. Gently. Every glance snapped to it like metal to a magnet. What is that? Randall's confidence cracked just slightly. My freedom, I said softly. And their undoing. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Is that submitted evidence? Yes, Your Honor. Newly delivered. Time-stamped. Irrefutable. And tied directly to a conspiracy that did not just attempt to divorce me, but to erase me. That word. Erase. It hit the courtroom like a spiritual bell. And suddenly nobody breathed. Not even them. Bailiff, the judge said calmly. Retrieve and display it. Now. The bailiff stepped forward, took the drive from my hand, inserted it into the court monitor. Nobody moved. Not even the air. The screen lit up behind the judge, and the video began. My living room. Their voices. Their laughter. Daryl's voice. Once she's institutionalized, we get everything. Even her father's veteran pension. Trust me, the system loves mentally unstable black women. His mother's voice. About damn time. I never wanted her at this table. And Monique, make sure you keep him focused, baby. Monique's voice, smug, giggling. Oh, he focused, Mama Harmon. Once we freeze her out this house, it's new house, new title, new life. She'll be lucky if she leaves with her Bible. And then Clarissa's whispered confession. Word for word. Everything. The courtroom didn't gasp. It went silent. The kind of silence only found in holy places, or war. Randall attempted to stand. Your Honor, we contest the legality of that recording. Sit down. Judge Morrison didn't shout. Her voice was low, grave, dangerous. The kind that meant she had just transitioned from judge to execution. Daryl wasn't breathing. His fingers were white against the table. He hadn't blinked in 30 seconds. His mother's lips trembled, actually trembled. And Monique, suddenly, began to sweat. Not dab sweat. Fear sweat. Judge Morrison's gaze was steady. Mrs. Harmon, do you have more? I turned slowly. I let my eyes meet each of theirs. One. By. One. And then back to the judge. Yes. The courtroom felt like the air had thickened, like judgment wasn't coming, it had already arrived, we were just waiting to see who survived it. Judge Morrison leaned back slowly, her eyes fixed on me, not with pity, but with respect. The kind a woman gives another woman when she recognizes war in her eyes, not wounds. You may proceed, she said. Not softly. Not harsh. But with full permission. Not to defend. To finish. I didn't step forward. I didn't need to. I simply placed the second flash drive on the table. Monique flinched. Daryl's knuckles cracked under his fist. His mother, that steel-spined, Bible-swinging, two-faced matriarch, whispered under her breath, "Oh God." I heard it. But she wasn't praying. She was begging. Your Honor, I said clearly, the first drive exposed intent. But this one. I tapped it once. Documents execution. The judge nodded to the bailiff. The courtroom lights dimmed slightly as the second video illuminated the screen. A bank office. Daryl and his mother. Monique sitting off to the side as if she belonged. Signing documents. Routing numbers. Title transfers. My father's military pension being rerouted. A power of attorney filed behind my back. A forged signature. Mine. But it wasn't mine. The handwriting was sloppy. The date, wrong. My birth year, copied wrong. Stupidity. The arrogance of people who thought I would never live long enough to catch them. The room was ice. You could feel the shift, spectators turning, eyes widening, whispers forming like wind before a storm breaks. Judge Morrison didn't react, not visibly, but her silence was not neutral. It was lethal. Bailiff, she said calmly, pause. The screen froze, mid-fraud. She turned her head slowly toward Daryl's side of the courtroom. Mr. Pierce, she said to the lawyer, do you wish to maintain your previous assertion that the respondent is delusional? The man looked like he wanted to evaporate. Your Honor, he stammered, in light of these. I am not asking you to recite panic filings you will attempt later. I asked you a yes or no. A pause that stretched forever. No, Your Honor. She nodded once. Then locked her gaze on Darryl. Mr. Harmon. Stand. He stood too slow. Too late. Too afraid. The judge never looked away. I will give you one, and only one, opportunity to withdraw every claim made against this woman, and to do it under oath, or I will personally see to it that this moves from divorce court to criminal court, within the hour. And I will not recuse myself. His mouth trembled before his voice. I withdraw. Louder. I withdraw. All claims. His mother gasped his name like prayer. The judge wasn't done. You will also provide immediate restitution, return all assets, and sign a public correction acknowledging malicious intent. On record. Today. He swallowed. And if I refuse? You won't. Silence. Then, slowly, painfully, I comply. And then, the moment I never expected. Her eyes turned to me. Mrs. Harmon, she said softly, humanly, like a mother, would you like to pursue criminal charges today? The courtroom stilled. All eyes on me. Waiting. Would I go for blood? Or closure? My fingers curled once against the podium. I turned my head, very slowly, to face them. My husband. His mistress. His mother. All three, unable to breathe. Not out of shame. Out of fear. Not fear of justice. Fear of consequence. For the first time, I felt no grief. No heartbreak. No shaking. Just clarity. I spoke, not to the judge, but to them. You tried to erase me. A pause. And now, believe me, I will outlive you. My voice did not rise. That's why it landed deeper. I looked back at the judge. No, Your Honor. Not today. A ripple of stunned disbelief swept through the court. But before silence could misinterpret mercy, I finished. I want them to live with everything they planned for me. I leaned forward slightly. That is the punishment. Judge Morrison did not blink. But I saw it, a flicker of something powerful. Approval. Then it is written, she said. And it is done. Her gavel fell with the sound of final storm. Case closed. But not our reckoning. The courtroom burst into whispers like thunder cracking open. I turned. The bailiff reached for the drives to log as evidence. But I placed my hand gently over his. No, I whispered. They already got what they deserved. He looked at the judge. She nodded. I slipped both drives back into my coat. Not trophies. Reminders. As I walked out, nobody dared speak. But Monique did move. Just slightly. A soft, shaking whisper I heard without turning. Please, don't come for us. I paused. Didn't face her. I simply said, oh, sweetheart. I don't need to. You already did it to yourselves. And then, I walked out free. For the first time, not a survivor. A victor. If you were standing beside me, witnessing everything that happened today, would you have given them the mercy I did? Or would you have burned it all down? I truly want to know. Write your answer below.